Hello, everybody. Welcome to T.O.'s Roadhouse. So good to be with y'all this week. Hope everything's going great in your world. Friend John Morgan is in the house, bro.
What's up, man?
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, you
Thank
too.
You. Thank you so much for coming out and visiting with me a little bit.
I'm happy to, man.
What a great year you've got rolling, man. You're out with Kane Brown and Old Dominion right now. That's a big transition from writing songs.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's been fun, man. It's been fun getting to kind of, play my own stuff and, be on some of these bigger looks. It's definitely a game changer and a wake-up call, too, It's like, are you going to level up or, that's how I look at it, so it's been fun.
When you moved here from North Carolina, man, did you want to be an artist or did you come with the intention of being a songwriter, or is there kind of a mixed bag, just kind of deal with whatever life threw at you?
Yeah, I just wanted to do music. I got in when I moved to town. I had a little bit of production, under my belt, but not a lot.
What do you mean a little bit? Had you done some recording or back home? Or?
Yeah, mostly just studio stuff and a lot of demo stuff at home. I just got Logic, probably a year and a half before I moved to Nashville, and just started dicking around on it and got good and dangerous enough to, do a work tape. And that just kind of evolved into, me enjoying that process and getting better at that. And I knew when I moved to town, if I could write and sing and, play guitar and track, it'd probably give me a better chance to get in better rooms. So my friend Will Bundy was one of my first buddies when I moved to town. I'm sure you know Will. And he told me, he's like, man, you're good enough to do it. You might as well go ahead and buy some plugins and get after it. So that's what I did. And it was a lot of fun. But, yeah, I hoped that the artist thing would come, and just was kind of waiting on the right time for it,
Was it a hard transition? Because you had a lot of success as a songwriter. How long have you been in town before you started having some things cut? Let me kind of back up a little bit.
Yeah, I officially moved to town in 2020. It was when I officially moved here. But I started.
That was a tough year to come, too.
Yeah. It was tough in a lot of ways, but I'll tell you what, man, it definitely made me a better lyricist. Having to write on Zoom, I can't sit there and play guitar the whole time. There's too many delays and all that. So it was kind of good for me in a way to write with some hit songwriters and see their process isolated, I guess, and just kind of in your own world. But yeah, other than that, it was tough.
How different was that process compared to the way that you were writing at home when you were first starting? Because the Nashville's got kind of a structure to it, man. Guys that do it every day, that are going in and doing the 10, 2, and 6 and punching the time clock and writing, co-writes and all that stuff. That's a lot different process. How well adapted were you to that when you got here?
Not at all. I mean, I'd done some co-writes. My drummer, he moved here about a year before I did. He wanted a pub deal, and so he's kind of the guy that taught me into moving down here. And, but yeah, we co-wrote, back home for a year and a half, 2 years before I moved here, and so I had my idea of what it was, and then moved here, and it's a different level when you get in some rooms, and kind of. I've just always tried to be a chameleon, if I'm in the room with somebody who I know's a good lyricist or a good, melody person, then I try to fill in the gap, So, I don't know. I love that process, and seeing a baby idea, come to life, and then get to make it sound.
I'm always curious to know how guys and girls kind of get to that place, because I know for me, back before the internet and all that stuff, when I was a kid coming up, I mean, all I knew was to break down a song and to write the lyric out from things that I heard on the radio, and kind of start to understand structure a little bit about how things were put together. And I remember writing over the top of existing melodies to songs, just so I could kind of get a grasp of how to put things together. Did you go through that process too?
100%. Yeah. It was kind of the same for me. I just grew up listening to records and trying to cop what somebody else was doing and tweak it enough to where it wasn't on top of it. But I feel like that's all we all do, right?
Well, it's all been written.
Way, yeah.
It's just finding a new way to get that visual thing across where you can see it when you close your eyes and stuff. I mean, there's definitely an art to it, but it's a fun process, and it's very gratifying.
It is, especially when you have an idea that you're kind of stoked on, and you get to see it get across the finish line. It doesn't. Those kind of ideas that I get stoked about, probably the same for you. They don't come very often, but when they do, it's fun to It's
Yeah.
fun to chase, you know.
You know, we all have good ideas. At least you think they are, and sometimes you can get in a room and an idea might not take the best path.
Yeah.
And but you know, usually about 3 or 4 hours you can hammer one out or get pretty close to it. But
Yeah.
those great ideas, man, when you get a great idea, there's something special about them, man.
Dude, I agree. It's been a minute. I've been on the road so much. I haven't been doing a lot of co-writes recently, but you know, I love getting to, you know, come up with ideas while you're living too and doing stuff, and you know, get inspired by something and jot it down, hopefully get in a room the next week, you know, or whatever, and finish it out. But that's kind of my process right now.
Do you struggle to write on the road?
It is hard. I mean, especially right now, we're still in a Sprinter van, so it's you know,
no isolation, no space to get away.
No.
Yeah.
No, there's none of that. I've got a little mobile track rig that I bring out with me, and every once in a while it gets used. But you know, I'm still driving and doing all that stuff. So it's you know, it's fun, but there's not a lot of downtime for us right now. So
I remember being on tour with Bird in the '90s, man, and I'm sure you know who Mark Nessler is, but Mark was playing lead guitar for Bird back then, and you'd get up in the morning and Mark would be sitting on a fence rail or on a stump or anything that he could get to get off the bus, and he would be sitting out there with his guitar working on a melody or something just to get separation from everybody. He would really isolate himself. I watched him do that a lot over the years, man, just to kind of evolve and just to get in his own headspace, to get away from the chaos of being on the bus.
Yeah, man, and just working that muscle too, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's me. I'm like, if I get out of a groove, it's hard to jump back in, and you know, especially when you do start getting booked in better rooms. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say there's pressure, but there's a certain expectation at that point. You know, when you do get in a room that people either have heard you brought this to the room or whatever it may be, and so sometimes it's hard to, you know, just turn it on and use it when you haven't in a minute. But it's still fun, man. I write with some good people. I still do a lot of new writes and stuff too, but I feel like I got a good crew that, you know, I like writing with. And
there's a comfort factor when you get a handful of folks that you're used to writing with too, man.
Yeah.
And especially if you know, if you got 5 or 6 guys, you know, if you get a certain idea, it's like, this lends itself a little bit more to this guy or this guy over here, man. It's amazing. They kind of find the right path, don't they?
Yeah. Have you ever rewritten a title like that you had that you felt like you didn't get it there in a certain room? And,
oh, absolutely. Or at least a derivative of it. You know, you might change a couple things about it, but yeah, I mean, that's happened numerous times over there. I think everybody has to some degree.
Yeah, I definitely have too. That was one thing I wish somebody had told me when I first moved to town was, you know, don't burn all your ideas writing on all the first writes you get. You know, I feel like I burned a lot of them, and it's hard to snatch those back up.
But that's hard to do
sometimes.
if you get a chance to write with an A-level guy or a girl, and you get in that situation. You want to come in and show out a little bit. You know, you don't want to come. You don't want to be the dud in the room. You definitely want to show up with a little bit of something in your sack.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I definitely. I caught on to that pretty quick. I was like, I don't feel like these are terrible ideas, but they're not good songs. I don't know what's going on, you know. But tried to hang on to some of those better ideas for when those opportunities did come.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun, man. I love that process of it, and I love being in the studio too, man. I'm sure you do too.
I do. You know, it all kind of has its time and place, and I love the variety of kind of being able to change, and you know, you kind of. The road has its own grind to it, you know, and as you kind of burn out on that, there's always something else around the corner that'll re-inspire you again, whether it's writing, getting back into songwriting mode, or getting ready to go back in the studio, or just whatever's going on. And there's so many different aspects to this thing that we call a career in the music business. It really is. I love the studio too. I don't spend near as much time in it as what I used to, you know, as I've gotten older, but I still love it all.
Yeah, I do too.
How do you, when you were back home in North Carolina, were you playing in a band? I know you did a lot of bluegrass stuff early on. I mean, you have a little 4-piece bluegrass band. What kind of stuff were you doing?
Yeah, man, we're doing mostly traditional bluegrass. We had a few originals that we, you know, wrote. The first song I ever wrote was it was a bluegrass tune, and I can't remember if we put it on a record or not, but we played it out a lot. It was called John Wesley Hardin. It was about an old outlaw cowboy, you know.
That's
I
cool.
thought it was a smash.
Names are real good for bluegrass songs too.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah, there's got to be some killing in there too. Yeah.
And we just, me and Carson Chamberlain and Wyatt McCubbin wrote one called Ada Ruth. And Ada Ruth was a Spitfire. She had a mean right hand. She put backer on the ground, all that kind of stuff.
I
A little
love
bluegrass
that,
thing, man. So, but those names kind of lend themselves in that direction a lot.
Yeah, bluegrass is fun, man. You know, at the time I was young, it wasn't the cool thing. You know what I mean? It was, or it became that for me. Initially it was, and I still, you know, I love getting to sit around and pick and do all that. But, you know, I just hit a point where I was like coming out of high school, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this for another 10 years. You know what I mean? So I just kind of hit that wall and decided to step away and take a break, and tried college out for a year and a half, and that wasn't for me. And I ended up moving back home, and that's when I kind of fell in love with songwriting and got into, you know, what songwriting actually was. Oh, there are songwriters. I mean, it was the same. I kind of had an idea that it wasn't just the artists writing all their songs solely, but you know, I feel like it took me a minute to realize that, you know, there were guys that had made a living just writing songs. And so when I got into that, I really fell in love with that side of it.
I think another thing that's hard for people to understand is that the guys you see on the road typically aren't the guys that are playing on those records either. You know, there's a whole other group of guys that do session work, and that's the same in pop and rock too. You know, you look at guys like Steve Lukather and stuff that were with Toto and stuff. Man, that whole band played on so many great records out in L.A. There's so much of that stuff going on, you don't even realize that. You know, because you know, it's not an easy separation that I've seen. That everybody can't do it, and there's some really talented guys that can go work on the road all week long and then be off the road and go right in the studio and make that transition. But it's usually the guys that can't walk by anything sitting on a guitar stand or anything with strings on it and not pick it up. Those are the guys that make that transition. I mean, they can't pass it by. If it's there, they got to pick it up and at least make sure it's in tune, you know. And I'm sure you know a lot of guys like that too.
Yeah, I'm kind of one of those guys, unfortunately. But I'm with you, man. I feel like it'd be tough to try to work both. I mean, coming off the road.
Well, it just takes such a more precise attention to detail. You know, and really to keep your ears tuned, because I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is the road can burn your ears out. First and foremost, because you have inconsistent sound with your ear mix and your wedges and things from night to night. And when you get in the studio, man, you really got to be precise, and your brain functions on a different level in that room.
Yeah, that's true, man. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, there's a lot going on in the show. You know, there's a lot of movement and stuff, and I think
your attention's different. You're focusing on other things.
Yeah, you're trying to entertain, right? That's definitely. That's what I love about the studios. You don't have to worry about it as much. You know, you can get in there and really dig in on, you know, dictation and stuff like that, and being able to play your parts clean and stuff like that. I love getting to, you know, acoustic's kind of my strong suit. I didn't play electric till I, you know, got into high school, and but I always grew up playing acoustic, so I love getting to play acoustics on all my stuff. And
that's cool.
It's fun to do. I co-produced this album with a guy named Brent Anderson. I'm sure you know Brent. You may or may not have written with him, but he's been here for a minute, and he was ever at Seagull for a long time.
Gotcha.
But great writer, and just a buddy of mine. When I first moved here, I kind of was friends with him, and through another mutual friend, and we just kind of hit it off, man. I was chatting with him before we, you know, went in to finish the album, and he was like, how you feeling, man? Because we were just writing one day, and I was like, we're kind of going through producers and, you know, looking at what that looks like, and I was seeing some of the flat rates, you know, and I was sweating a little bit, and looking at all my favorite producers, you know, and trying to figure it out, and he was like, man, I tell you what, he's like, you know, one thing that I wish I could do over was, you know, kind of speaking up for myself a little bit and getting to play on my records. He's like, I didn't play on any of my records, especially my debut. So, you know, I knew he would have the ear, and he's a great musician too. He's honestly could be a session guy too if he didn't write all the time. But just that good, and I knew that if he and I put our brains together, we could come up with something good. And we just kind of, I asked him to co-produce with me, and we just found this process that worked and was a lot more affordable, and we chased it, and it was fun, man. It gave me a lot more creative control, which most guys at my point don't have really, unless they have a label like mine who's like, we get what you're trying to do, and we know. I think having that production, experience on the front end of it gave them a little bit more trust, but still is a big ask. Hey, can I co-produce this?
It really is. A lot of times they want to make sure that their investment has the best people around them that they can possibly have. But it feels like there's a new trend of things swinging back where artists are getting a little bit more control of their music again. We kind of lost that for a while in Nashville. And, another aspect that I think is different, back in our day, back in the good old days, producers were getting points on the album. They weren't getting a huge flat rate up front. I mean, they were getting paid on the back end, but, you don't have those album sales to prop that stuff up like what we used to have anymore. So it's just a different day and age out there.
It is, man. It is. There's a lot of new producers because of that too.
Absolutely, and a lot of guys that know the gear, like Derek right here. Derek plays the second guitar in the band. I stole him from Sound Emporium years ago. He worked on one of my records. Let's talk about the early days of Logic and stuff. I'm not terribly savvy. I know enough to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But what was your process about going through that? And might be some questions that you have to ask for him too as we kind of go through this. I mean, to kind of help educate young people as you go through learning about the tools and things, and learning what plugins are, and really kind of understanding how to get acoustic tones, especially things like fiddle, the things that have a breath to them are a little bit more difficult, than, I mean, that seems to be one of the more difficult instruments to EQ and to get right sounding on a record, don't you think?
Yeah.
Start with a good source, man. Get you a good Martin.
Right.
That's
right.
one of them old Gibsons. It all starts with the source. You can run through all the plugins, all the gear you want to, but if was it shit in and shit out, or whatever the saying is? If it's not good on the way in, you can only polish it so much.
Yeah, that's true, man.
So let me ask a stupid question to guys that do that more than me. Using plugins, you don't get as much latency inside with plugins as you do running outboard gear, do you? You know what I mean? I mean, because if you plug 5 things in your chain and outboard gear, you're definitely going to get some latency. But if it's all in the box, do you get that latency?
It's not much, though. Let me see. Let me think about this for a second.
Oh, he's thinking. It's scary.
Well, I've been on the road with you for 10 years, so I'm having to think back in the good old days, you know. But man, we'd run stuff through like 7 or 8 pieces of gear, and it was almost instantaneous, because I don't really know why that is.
See,
but it's so much faster than with these plugins and with the processing power now.
Yeah.
And it's been great for quite some time.
And those are probably things you never even thought about when you're starting. You're not thinking about latency or any of those kind of questions that pop up as you kind of get a little bit more savvy through the process.
Oh, man, thank God for YouTube, man.
And you used to have the HD rigs, and that's why you'd have to go to the studio if you wanted to be running plugins and everything while you're tracking. Because otherwise, if you're doing it at home and you've got just this tiny little rig, then you've got to turn your sample rate all the way down, so there is no latency. But then you can't have the plugins because you can't process.
It can't process.
Yeah,
dude. I remember first getting into it because I started with Logic Pro. That was kind of actually GarageBand, and then I switched to Logic because it was the same shortcuts and all. But I remember, like when I first got a MIDI controller, that was the game changer for me because I just always. I'd play 100 takes until I got it. I didn't know anything about comping or editing. I'd just sit there and play it, until it was right. And when I moved to town, I figured out the setup I kind of needed, and I got a little MIDI controller. And the whole world of plugins, you're exactly right, man. I got terrified. I'm like, dude, I can't afford to buy a $400 EQ, band EQ. Like, what? You know what I mean? At that time. And so one thing I love about Logic for like new, like beginner writers or producers or whatever, there's so many good stock plugins that come with that DAW that you can use that. I mean, I used them pretty much the whole time I was on Logic.
Yeah.
And there's master plugins you can use. Like there's some great stuff on there. So I always recommend Logic.
And don't they? And I'm a pro tools guy, so I don't know that much about Logic
now
at
too.
all.
Yeah,
but it was because it was the standard in the studios. So I wasn't going not waste time learning Logic, but I was trying to get great at Pro Tools because I'm trying to do the engineering thing. I'm trying to watch all these guys. But doesn't Logic have like a stem separation kind of deal, like where you can it'll just AI cut out the vocals out of it, cut the bass out of it, cut the drums out of it. So you just essentially stem it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think Pro Tools has that.
I don't
That'd
think
be
it,
awesome.
I don't
Scott,
think
what
it does.
what do you typically use, Scott?
I'm actually using one called Studio One.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to be different, don't you?
Yeah. Pro Tools had, I think it was some licensing that you had to keep up with, and I just didn't want to do that.
So explain to people what stems are, because I love young people that start watching this stuff that are trying to figure this stuff out. So people don't really understand what stems are. That's when you separate out the individual tracks and everything.
Yeah,
So
I
kind of explain that to them in terminology.
So essentially, with stems, like, all right, so you have a multi-track, and that makes your song. So you have a kick drum, you've got a snare drum, you've got your toms, you've got your hi-hat, you've got overheads. So that's 10, 12 tracks right there, and then it all gets mixed down to 2 tracks, your left and right. So essentially, you can take stems, which would be a stereo track of your drums. Instead of the 10 tracks, you've just got 2 tracks of left and right of all your drums. You do the same with your guitars, vocals, and however else you want to separate it out, so that when you take those stereo files, like say you've got 4 of them, you got drums, bass, vocals, guitars, and you put those 4 stereo files back at Unity Gain, then you should have that mix that you started with before you stemmed it out, kind of deal. But it's great for like TV kind of deal, like when you need to take, like if you're singing but you want the background vocals to be heard on the television broadcast, but the background singers
Nobody
aren't there.
does that. Nobody does that.
Man, I don't know what
you're
you're talking about.
Nobody do anything like that.
Yeah. No, sir.
But that's, it's good for things like that. Or if you can't hear this certain guitar lick, so that's what I've been using this AI stuff for, is to strip out the guitar so that I can have just your vocal in there just a little bit with the guitar blasting, so I can hear all those little nuances.
Yeah.
Dude, it's handy, man. There's a couple of apps. We use an app called Moises. It's great, man, especially for rehearsing or just like quickly needing something. You can take a 2 mix and pull stuff out of it. It's crazy. Dude, you said something earlier about being hard to mix. I think you were talking about guitar. One of the hardest things for me to mix starting out was drums, man.
Really?
Yeah, it was always, I was either way hot with them or way low. I could never find that perfect balance. And so a lot of my early demos, it was kick snare, baby. I didn't
have no toms or overhead.
No, sir. Yeah. No fills,
Kick,
nothing.
snare, vocal. That's all you need.
4 on the floor, baby. Yeah, it's funny listening back. It's funny, too, because, I go back and listen to some of them, I'm like, damn, that makes kind of sounds better than one I did last week. I need to go back and see what I did there. But I swapped over like you. I was working with a lot of guys that were using Pro Tools, and especially being in the studio and stuff. I was like, I just need to at least know my way around it. And so probably 3 years ago now, I swapped over and, just went full Pro Tools. And I love the editing window in Pro Tools. And now I'm doing vocals. Like I do all edit and tune all my vocals and do all that stuff. And so it's so much easier on Pro Tools for me. I love the window, and Logic's really good for just creating. If you want to sit down and plug in and play and get something quick, like Logic's really good for that. But yeah, I can nerd out all day on this.
What kind of personality do you try to get with your acoustic guitar, and the difference between what you do on the road live and what you do in the studio? I mean, are you compressing your acoustic? I mean, what are you doing to it to get the sound that you desire?
Yeah, I when I'm tracking, I don't do much. I have I think it's a Shure 9. I can't remember what.
You mic it and not do an internal pickup?
I've started doing both. I've seen some guys do it, and you'd get a little blend of it and just stereo track it. But yeah, most of the if I'm tracking guitars for like for instance on the record, I just set up. I can't remember exactly what mic we use. We use a condenser mic, kind of on the body to catch some of the body of the guitar, and then we had a little cigar mic on the 12th fret, and just kind of capture some of the string noise and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that usually, I mean, it's like you said, your source is everything, man. You got a good sounding Martin, it's hard to make it sound bad.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You put a little compression,
no,
EQ
let me
on
play it. I'll make it sound bad. Give it to me.
Well, I say that. I've made it sound bad a lot too, but yeah, it is your source, man. Just, I think the way you play too, where you're playing at, all that stuff matters when it's like you said about the studio. Everything's meticulous in there. So, that's one thing I love about it too, man. You got to be on your A game.
Oh yeah, and I think when you surround yourself with other players that are at the higher caliber, it helps you rise to that occasion too.
100%.
And because I've been in sessions with guys that wasn't good chemistry or it was just an off day or something, you can really tell, man, we're just not gelling together, man.
Yeah.
And they might be great players, but sometimes it just doesn't happen, man. And attitudes are so important when you get in the room too, man. One bad attitude is like a cancer in a session. It's awful.
Dude.
Yeah,
It's so true, man. And and what do you do? You're like,
you get through it and then you hire somebody to come fix it, which has been done many times. So, are you a guy that likes to piecemeal things out, or you like to track everything together?
Honestly, because of kind of our limitations in this first record, we started. We went in. Brent's got a little studio in his basement, and we went over to his place. And just basically created a bed for the track. Got the tempo right, got the keys down, and then we would start putting pads or keys or whatever. We usually do like MIDI drums just to have, and then
just to get a groove down.
Just something to play to, and then we'll overdub those later in the session. But we usually, we'll do all the guitar stuff and get it where we want it, and then. When we have everything cleaned up and, gridded how we want it and all that stuff, then we go in and give those guys something, really locked to play to. And we usually do like drums. I think last time we did drums, steel, and bass in a session together because that's really all we had left. So it was fun. Got Mike Johnson on there. And, dude, he's one of my favorite guys in the world, man. I love hearing his stuff, his tone. I mean, he brings his rig in, sets up and just starts cracking jokes. But
Super nice guy.
yeah, he's the man. He's the man. He's played on all my stuff. But that's kind of how we've been doing. I don't know if that'll change or not as we go and get a little bigger budget.
And there's something different too. I'm still a little bit old school, and I've done some projects before where you might piecemeal a few things out, but there's something about the creativity in a room when you get a bunch of guys together. There's a dynamic or something that'll happen that wouldn't happen if you were piecemealing it out, because once you kind of get that groove established, I mean, there's something that can happen with a section of players that might not have happened any other way if they weren't all in the room together,
I agree, man. One thing I tried to do because of that, I didn't want to Mutt Lange everything, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I love Mutt Lange. He's one of my favorite producers, but that wasn't what this album needed, and so Brent and I went into it as guitar players. We both went into it like, hey, man, let's track this like we would if we were sitting on the floor, and so we kind of did what I initially did back home, where I played a full pass down, and there were some inflections that were wrong.
That or little things that you did that you would exaggerate on with the rhythm section.
Yeah, and you don't grid that stuff. You let it have a little bit of life. You know what I mean? So I think that kind of saved us a little bit and gave it more of that live feel because we were thinking about that at least when we were doing our parts. Yeah, and hopefully they felt that in the studio too when they did theirs.
How much pre-production do you do before you start working on a project? Are you just like a song here and there? Or are you getting everything done before you go and start working on a project? As far as the songwriting and everything else, because the rock and roll mentality, everybody has a different way of going about this. Is the point that I'm getting to. Some guys, I mean, I know bands, that have big budgets that'll go in and they'll write in the studio. I can get all my stuff done on the front end. I mean, and thinking through to the point where I know the tempo of the song, I know the sequence that it's going to take on the record for the most part. I mean, I'm thinking through all that stuff because it affects where I place it in the session when I'm tracking with the band.
Exactly.
How much forethought do you put into all that stuff with your stuff?
I try to put a lot into it. To actually heard you mention that in one of your other episodes, just kind of about your process and how you went through. I think I can't remember what album you were talking about. You were talking about one where it was like. You have to think about everything. Sequence is as important as anything.
Absolutely.
You got to take people on that ride and journey how you envision it. You got to have a vision for it. And so I try to do the same. And I'm always, every time I'm on a plane or something, I'm listening to old songs or trying to, put songs together, see which ones flow into each other well and stuff. But I definitely try to. I was fortunate to have, 3 or 4 years of just being a songwriter before I even thought about doing a debut album, so thankfully I had a ton of songs that I was already stoked on and kind of already had the label involved with, and so it wasn't a huge process. I took a bunch of outside songs and just to see if we could bid anything out, but we ended up just using a lot of the initial songs that I had on the list, and it kind of gives me a little bit of ammo for the next one too. I'm already kind of trying to think that way and get songs ready for that. So it's fun, man. I enjoy it. I love getting to do that and having the opportunity to even think about it. It's a dream.
Yeah.
So
Tell me about those influences, the stuff that you listen to. I find myself going back, and I live with a lot of the old things. I still fall back on Haggard and a lot of that early George Strait stuff. I mean, a lot of those guys that influenced me, and I go back and still go back and pick those tracks apart and listen to the production techniques and things that they did. Do you still draw on a lot of that stuff, and who were those people for you?
I definitely do, especially before, going into the studio or going in to start a project. I love trying to get re-inspired, and listen to the old stuff. Maybe that song feels like this one or one that I'm cutting, and it's like just trying to, take tricks like we were saying earlier from, stuff they were doing or, certain keys, sound they were using, whatever it may be. And, I definitely love getting to do that, but probably my biggest influence is probably Ronnie Millsap. He's
No kidding.
Yeah, man. I fell in love
Those
with him
records
early
still
on.
hold up now.
Oh, dude.
Big time. I mean, unbelievable how good his early stuff was.
I know,
I mean,
man.
that late 70s stuff, man, Stranger in My House and Smoky Mountain Rain, those were good records.
Yeah. Stranger in My House was the one that got me. I mean, that was the one that I was hook, line, sinker after that, but
I still struggle with what's a minor and what's a major on that because, I mean, it's really hard to pick them apart because they're, you're doing that D minor, and then there's a G minor in there too, I believe.
Yeah.
And does it go to the natural G or the F minor?
There's a regular.
It goes
there's
back
a
and
major
forth.
G.
It's a major G, but sometimes it goes to the minor
So
too.
I think it's in the chorus. It's minor.
right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
A minor, and then sometimes the A is
And
major.
sometimes the A's a major too. It just depends on where it's at, and it changes. I love that stuff.
And the
though,
mix
man.
on that still slams to this day.
It does, man. It's so good. But that was all analog too. Do you ever dream about going back recording analog too?
100%.
I'm thinking about my next record of recording drums in analog and bouncing them down to dig. Because you want the convenience of being able to do parts of things, but I want that bottom end sound. I want that airy sound back, man. And I haven't done that. The only time I ever cut analog was on my very first record, and that was Sticks and Stones. Everything else,
Really?
is digital.
Everything is
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I would love to do that too. It's like I said, man. Hopefully, the more money I make the label, the more budget they'll give me back. But I think it's there's some kind of warmth to it when you're running analog that you just can't get in the box. And that's gonna be sick. I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too, man. It's just there's just so much technology, and it's playing around with what works for you and what the situation will allow you to do, man. But there's so much great technology out there.
So when you went from, you said your first record was tapes, so the second would be digital.
The second one was 48 digs. It was a Sony digs. I mean,
got you, okay.
that was before Pro Tools.
Yeah.
But my first one was 20. It was an Antares 24-track analog, and then after that record, everything started moving to 48 digs.
Because I'm trying to think of what version of Pro Tools they adopted.
Pro
Like
Tools
when it
really didn't
first-
come into vogue
Yeah,
until the
true,
late
yeah.
90s, did
Gotcha.
they? About 97 or so, was it?
I'm
wasn't
just
that?
trying to remember because I remember seeing what Pro Tools 5 looks like, and do you remember the blue Nokia phone with the snake game on it?
yeah.
That's what Pro Tools 5 looked like compared to what it does now. So I was just trying to think, like, my God, I couldn't imagine making a record on that.
Yeah.
I cut a live album on ADAT. I had a rack of ADATs in the back of a bus, and we did a live record on
That's
freaking
crazy,
sinking ADATs with a pain in the ass.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
It's fun to watch all of it evolve, though, and talk to other knuckleheads like us that are just consumed by all this stuff, man. And now we're moving into this place. I've been playing around with AI songwriting apps and stuff lately, man. It's just there's so
That's
much.
crazy.
It's unbelievable the technology that's out there, and just trying to stay abreast of it, whether or not you're comfortable with it or you agree with some of it. If you don't at least get up to speed on it, you're gonna get left behind.
Yeah, I agree, man. it kind of pisses me off all the hours I think about spending in them room, beating my head against the wall trying to get a mix to sound good, and somebody can do it in 5 minutes now, but
Yeah, but it's still not real.
No,
I mean,
I
AI
agree.
still hasn't got there. There's still nothing like people actually putting their fingers on the strings or on the ivories and playing.
And there's always some little something that's wrong with the recording.
Yeah, it's never, and it fluctuates, and it won't keep your same chord structures the same. It's going to move things around. It's not what everybody.
It's getting better and better. Though.
It's gonna
That's
keep
what
getting
scares
better.
me and pisses me off too,
Well,
buddy.
I've even heard them talk about how there's eventually going to be an AI format of AI songs that are just computer generated, and that's going to be its own format for you to listen to.
Huh.
Yeah, all that's coming, dude.
And here's my other fear is like most people don't care how you got a snare sound on a record. They just don't even know what a snare is. So I fear that most people don't care how it was recorded, which means all those engineers, not all of them, but I mean, for the newcomers coming up, man, it's like, I don't know, dudes.
I don't know.
Figure it out. Somebody, please.
But would you have believed when we were growing up that everybody would have been listening to music off their phone and little earbuds instead of listening to the full spectrum of sound that we grew up listening to? Because it's not the same.
Yeah.
I remember in 1999, I was cutting an album called Lessons Learned, and I'd done all the tracking and had everything done, and they were working on the mixes, and we were doing a USO tour over in Europe, and they were able to email me my tracks for me to proof mixes over the internet, and that was the first time we'd ever been able to do that, and that was in 1999. And how far we've come since then, and how cool that was to be over in Europe and be able to pull a full track up and listen to that online. That was pretty freaking crazy back then, man. We've come a long way since then.
Oh, yeah, man. It's. I think it's changed a lot too. I mean, even the writing process. You start a work tape on something, put a scratch vocal down. You can ship that over to somebody else.
Oh yeah,
put a verse 2 on it. I've done that a couple times. In the last couple of years, where people send me something, and I'm like, yeah, I can put a vocal down right here and send it back to you. Make edits.
Well, and you think about, I remember hearing stories about Steve Miller cutting stuff in hotel rooms back in the 70s. And what would that have been, 4 tracks? That would have had to be 4 tracks. I mean, what else could you have carried on the road with you? If you're carrying it up to a room, it had to be small. Yeah. And I've heard some of that stuff they actually used on records. And you go back to bands like Boston, all that stuff was done by 2 guys before anybody even knew it was possible.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
In a basement.
Yeah.
In a freaking basement. Yeah.
Makes me feel better. No, that's wild, man. You're right. It just come so far, man. It's unfortunately, I kind of missed a lot of that, stuff early on, the analog stuff, like starting in that.
Yeah.
For me, it's kind of the opposite now, starting in digital and trying to work your way back to analog. But yeah, it's.
And back to the point that he was making too, we stress over tones and snare sounds and the decay of the bass and the attack of this and that, and how many people really hear any of it? Except the guys. But do we care? And really, are you making records for those? Are you really trying to make the best record you can for yourself?
Yeah.
And that's what I always try to do is make the best record I can for myself. Because if I can please me, then hopefully it'll translate to other people.
That's cool, man. I like that. I think I do that subconsciously too, man. Where it's like,
And you'll look back in 10 years at stuff that you did, and you're always going to wish you'd done something different. It's never going to be what you thought it was back then. I promise you.
I believe it. I believe it. There's already, it's hard too because you got deadlines. You got to meet deadlines.
And financial quotas and all that stuff too.
So when you get a month and you're like, okay, we got to cut 12 songs, and what our process too is like, it's easier in some ways, but it's also harder and takes a little bit longer, to get certain things done that if you were on the floor with a band, they'd be done like that, So there are challenges that come with that and the process we did on this last one. But, the fun thing is just making notes as you go. Hey, let's maybe try this next time, or let's skip this. Let's get all the songs bedded before we move on to, like there's different things that we've already made notes on for the next time. So hopefully it'll be a little smoother.
Tell me about your live show. What's your stage structure like? What all are you carrying? What's your cover songs and things that you're doing? What's your live show like?
Yeah, man, it's been fun. That's evolving a lot too. As you know, man, you start. When we first started, we've been on the road pretty heavily for about 5 years now, and as this unit, but we've just started out playing songs that nobody knew, obviously, and a lot of songs that were just sitting in my catalog that still are and I still haven't got cut. But, it's you trying songs out and seeing if you get a reaction out of, a crowd with a certain song. And, it's been changing a lot, but I feel like, as of recently, this year, man, we've been doing 25 minutes, 45, 75, 90, 60. Yeah. So you're you don't really have time to rehearse either when you're, busting it. And
when you're doing that early slot, you don't get much of a sound check. You better have your ducks in a row when you get there.
Yeah. Well, we sure have it a couple times, and that's been fun. But yeah, man, I got production manager now, but that's about it. We're still we kind of hold our own, and hopefully until we don't have to. You know what I mean? But
were you carrying bass, drums? You playing lead, or you have another lead player? You doing? Or what's your instrumentation?
A lot of
just
guitars
4-piece?
now.
4-piece, 5-piece?
No, we were 4-piece up until end of last year. I added on. It was actually my tour manager. So we're doing sound check one day. This was I asked one of my buddies to TM for me, and he'd been on the road with us for maybe almost a year at this point. And we're sound checking one day, and he's back there, doing stuff, singing. And I'm like, hear something. I'm like, who's singing right now? Who's singing harmony? And he's like, oh, it's me. I was like, you sing harmony? I was like, why didn't you tell me this, dude? And he's like, yeah, I can sing harmony. And it's hard to find somebody that can sing harmony and match inflections that you do differently live than on the record. And man, when we started, I was like, you're coming on radio tour with me. So he was TMing and playing guitar and singing. And so anyway, we added him on just, as kind of a utility guy right now. And then added on another kind of slide player and another utility guy. But yeah, we got me. I'm kind of mainly rocking electric for the majority of the set, and acoustic on about a quarter of it, and then Dave's singing harms, playing acoustics on a lot of it, and then 2 guitars, bass, and a drum. So we're a little spread out these days, but it's fun, man. I just love getting to play with real players again. Yeah. It's kind of the same challenge on the live side of it as it was for writing, where you get sucked in. I mean, I got put into a position where it's like, here's your tracks that you're using for your live show, we're gonna build your session, we're gonna all this. And I think initially it was good for us because we had a template to hammer down each time. We knew nothing was going to change because we're playing the track, But I think over time, it's been really fun to start muting tracks and pulling stuff out and letting a real guitar player kind of cover 2 things if he has to and jump back and forth. And there's just something about it, man. I mean, it's different playing with somebody up on stage and finding that pocket together, and then
without a doubt,
playing to something that's just gridded perfectly. It almost sounds off when you're playing live sometimes. So I've
been fortunate to never have to do that. I've tried doing the track thing a couple times. I'm just not comfortable with it, And I've never been in a situation where I had to work with a lot of groups that do, even big acts that'll layer a lot of bottom in, and there might be acts sound like a freaking orchestra. There might be 5 of them on stage. It's not like an orchestra up there.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of them.
There's quite a bit of that going on out there. Yeah, I haven't had to do that, and I'm glad because I still like the art of us good bad nights. whatever it is. I mean, it's still us. It's still
Yeah.
us on stage doing what we do.
It's
Yeah.
true, man. It's true, and it's fun. It's just rewarding. You know,
It is.
It's
It's very gratifying when you go out there and you get back after the show and it's like, were there any problems that we had? And you tweak things in your mind. You kind of go over this and that. You make adjustments the next day, and it's always evolving and always changing.
yeah.
I love that.
I do too, man. I think, for us too, the last couple years have been, hey guys, we got asked to, take this slot. Let's make sure that they know we mean business when we come out here.
Yeah.
And I love getting to do that too. Whether you're dog tired and you're running on fumes, it don't matter. Nobody out there that's standing out in the beating the hot sun at 2 p.m. waiting to get in, gates at 6.
Sweating in their polyester.
Yeah, man. They don't care. They don't care you drove 6 hours. It doesn't matter. You gotta power through and put on a show and perform. And that's just kind of been our motto this year. It's just been like, no matter what, how many, sound issues we got going on. Because it's like you said earlier, man, you don't get a line check hardly sometimes.
Yeah.
And, you're up there in front of 10, 15,000 people in that early slot sometimes. And
people
Living
think
on a
that
prayer.
just because you have the same desk or you with the same guys that it's the same every day. It is not. A concrete stage is different than a wood stage, is different than a covered stage, than an uncovered stage, than a deck or a theater. Every one of them sound completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which song do you close your set with? Usually,
Right now, we close with our hit. We play Friends last. I feel like if we played it earlier, everybody'd leave at this point. So I'm hanging on to it for now. But it's probably our funnest one to play too. So it's good to close
and
on.
you've got a new single out now.
I do, yeah. Just put out a new song called "Kid Myself."
I was just a kid myself.
Yeah,
That-
yeah. Thanks, man. It's fun. I actually wrote that with Tyler Hubbard. It was the first time
Did
we'd
you really?
written.
Awesome.
Never met him. Had no idea what to expect, and I was so nervous the night before. I stayed up late working. I was like, I gotta have some good idea to bring in, and put this little thing together. Had this title on my phone forever, "Kid Myself," and just got a little guitar groove going with it. Wrote like a scratch chorus to it, and then took it in the next morning. And it was one of those times because I'd kind of been on the road quite a bit too, and it was one of those like feeling pressured to kind of bring something to the room. And it was just another one of those times that come very seldom that you're like, man, I feel like we got it where it needed to go, and got the idea exactly where I hoped it would be. And yeah, it ended up being one of my favorites off the record, and label, everybody was stoked on it and glad to have it out finally.
Yeah, it's a cool. Got it from a couple of angles.
Yeah.
I was just a kid when we broke up. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And kidding myself
Yeah.
that you might come back.
Yeah, I don't want to kid myself.
It's pretty cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was clever, but no, it was fun. It's fun to have ideas like that every once in a while that you can put a couple different twists on and keep them guessing. But yeah, glad it's out, man. Glad it's out.
What was it like when you heard one of your songs on the radio for the first time?
It's crazy, man. The first time I heard Friends was, it was probably 2 weeks before it went number one, and it went a year to the day that we put it to radio. So
That's crazy to me.
Yeah,
It's just such a long journey these days.
yeah. So, like I said, it was probably 10, 11 months before I'd heard it on the radio, and I was driving. I can't remember. I think I was on the phone with I can't remember who I was talking to. Maybe my dad or something. I was chatting, and I just had the station on. I think it was the Froggy station in town. I had it on real low, and I was chatting. I heard the intro start. I'm like, I got to call you back, man.
Yeah.
So it was cool, man. I just
Choke you
on
up.
my way home. Yeah, it's still. You don't think it will until you get in that moment and you're by yourself and you're like, whoa, this is crazy, man. All my heroes, everybody that I strove to be, this was them. They were here and they had their song on the radio. And so, yeah, man, it was definitely a game-changing moment. And it was a lot of fuel for me. I needed that. You know what I mean? You go on a radio tour.
It's very validating.
Yeah, I don't think radio tours changed too much. So I'm sure.
They're grueling.
Yeah, man. You just put in the hours, and then, like I said, a year goes by, and you're like, what am I doing out here playing freaking birthday bashes in Pinehurst, North Carolina? It's like, it all starts paying off when those moments happen. So got to hear that when I heard Kid when we were. It was about 2 a.m. I'm taking the last shift. I can't remember where we were headed up to Ohio, I think. And I'm sitting there, going through. My phone must be set on redneck mode because, dude, it takes me off the interstate every time I start my shift. It gets me on a back road somewhere, and I think it's a setting on my phone that I have. I got to figure it out.
Redneck mode.
Yeah, it was like
there should be a redneck phone mode on all phones.
Every
I believe.
phone, man.
Yeah,
but yeah, every time I'm on a back road, so I'm hugging these big ass curves, in this van and trailer, and I just remember I was dog tired, and I'm like, my co-pilot was out cold, and I'm like, oh boy, got 30 minutes left, whatever, and all of a sudden Kid starts playing, and I don't know, it was just cool, man, especially at that time where you're just you're really dogging it, and it was good. I needed it. It's always fuel for me, man. I've got a lot of things to work for. I have a lot of people to repay for helping me get here, you know, and that's part of my fuel too, is just, hoping to kind of repay them in some way. And I don't know, man, it's, my goal when I moved here was to make a living doing this. Yeah. And so I can definitely check that off the box now.
How are you adapting to celebrity? I mean, how you coping with that? I mean, what was it like the first time somebody recognized you out in public?
It's weird, man. I mean, I feel like I look like every dude in the world right now. Everybody's got long hair and mustaches, so I thought I'd blend in a little better.
That's redneck mode.
Yeah, yeah, the ball cap. No, it's cool, man. I mean, you can't say you don't enjoy it. If this is what you're doing, I mean, it's a cool moment.
It has its perks.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool for me to see people, especially now, like right now where we're at, where we don't have a ton of songs that people know. It's cool to see fans that have come to 3 or 4 shows like back to back to back, you know, and they're invested, and that's why I love going out to the merch table. We go to the merch table every night, man. I'm out there and love getting to meet people, and just that's when I get to thank them for doing that and putting in the time, because it means just as much to me as it does to them. And I don't know, it's cool. It's fun to get to grow that fan base organically too. That's one thing I'm proud of. If anything, we hadn't exploded or blew up or any of that stuff, compared to a lot of other artists at my my class or whatever. But I will say we've worked hard to shake every hand and make every fan that we have, in that way, and just selling them on our show, and hoping they'll come back out and listen to music,
How much social media and stuff do you do? Are you posting on a regular basis? You seem a little earthier, down more of a muso mindset than a social media mindset.
Yeah, it was a hard adjustment, man. I obviously I kind of grew up with, at least on the front end of, Instagram and all that. That was kind of the thing that was taken off. But yeah, man, I always was not good at it. I was never somebody that was just throwing up a phone and saying what I'm doing, walking down the street. I just wasn't that guy, still I'm not. But it was fun for me to try to crack the code on how do I utilize this to promote my music, because I was cool with that. I'm not the lip sync guy. I mean, there's certain, I feel like there's certain lines and there's certain things you can get away with now, but I was not that guy. So it was kind of a hard transition for me to go from that to having to post something every day or even 5 days a week. It's like, dude, it becomes a workload, you know, and trying to figure out, well, what do I need to post? Okay, well, this is what's been working, or this is what's trending, and you get all this stuff, and it's like, thank God for my management team now. I got a lot of help, man. I I try to get the content when we're on the road, and if I'm writing, try to get it and then send it to them and let them make it look good and help post it on time. But yeah, man, it's a different ball game, that's for sure.
Yeah. So what's next for you? I mean, you're in the middle of a tour right now. Aren't you going out by yourself this fall?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
you are.
we are. We're
Clubs and stuff.
Yeah, it'll be fun, man. This is our first headlining gig, so
that'll be fun. You'll have a good time out there, man.
I'm excited about it. I've got a couple buddies, Ryan and Rory. I don't know if you know those guys. They're at the label mates. But they're going to come out with us for about half the tour, and then the other half, I'm getting to bring out one of my buddies that I lived with for a long time when I moved to town, Jeb Gibson. He's been over. He was at Seagull for a long time, and he's now over at Relative writing for Hardy and stuff. So
that's cool.
It'll be fun to have him out and get to check that off our bucket list. We dreamed about that for a long time. So yeah, man, it's nothing. I was telling the guys the other day, I'm like, this tour is going to be as big as we make it. It's going to be as big as we want it to be.
And just go out there and have fun and enjoy the whole experience and enjoy the fans and all that stuff. It comes with its challenges, but just don't work yourself to the point that you get totally burnt out on all of it. That's the best advice I can give you, man. Just don't get burnt out on it, man.
You're reading my horoscope today, man.
Keep that love of the craft alive, brother. And that's a hard thing to do because the bad thing when you get to rolling like that and you're starting to have success, man, you want to do everything that comes at you, man. That's just you've waited so long for it, and all the things are starting to happen. And it's real easy to get burnt out, man, and get a little jaded too quick, man. Just fight that shit off as much as you can.
I appreciate that. I needed that.
I sure have enjoyed the visit, brother.
Thanks,
it's good
man.
to get to know you a little bit. I'm sure our paths are going to cross many times. Y'all got anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Any more Logic questions? Pro Tools? Yeah.
We can talk about this stuff all day, man.
I do have one question for you.
Yeah.
All right, so I asked Marcus King the same question. What do you use? I cannot stand a live plugged in acoustic. I just can't stand the sound of it.
Yeah.
I've never liked it. It's okay, but it's so what do you use for your live acoustic chain? Now Marcus King said, well, the boys LR Bag's been pretty good to me. And it's like, well, no shit. It's either them or Fishman. But like, what do you plug into to get to the speakers so that people can hear it? So what's your chain?
I'm a Bags guy too. I got the Anthem. I've had it. I was getting in, I think, right into high school, maybe right before I left bluegrass, and that world was kind of when everybody was starting to do DI and like go DI in the bluegrass world, and the Anthem was like the thing, man. Everybody was running it, and I was playing a Martin J40 at the time, and it just, I mean, dude, I've tried that Bags DI on probably 3 or 4 different acoustics at Taylor. A couple different ones, and regardless if it's perfect, it makes every guitar sound better, in my opinion, and it's as close to what you're wanting, I think, as you can get. I really just run direct through that, and I don't have any processing after that. I have just a Boss tuner in front of it, but it usually does the trick. I've got a little L2, little Gibson L2 now that it's a good road guitar, and so it's fun. It sounds great through that, and I'm one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I've been rocking that thing for probably 10 years, if not longer.
I've got one of those too, man. It is awesome, but then we've been doing the Kemper thing out there, and for acoustics, it's great. I mean, electrics, it's okay, but for acoustics, that Kemper is absolutely amazing because I just run it through like a Neve DI or pre whatever in it, and then a little bit of Verb, and then I send it out to the dudes, and whatever they do with it, I don't know. They probably mute the shit.
Some nights.
Yeah. They're really on that tuning. Yeah. My guy's like, I can tell when I'm not in tune. That fader goes down.
Yeah, tune is kind of an important thing.
It can
It's
be.
way up on the priority list.
Especially when you got a piano in the band that never goes out of tune.
Oh,
or
boy.
Keyboard, I mean.
Yeah.
Group.
Yeah.
I'm always curious what kind of day jobs people have. Did you remember some of your day jobs coming up?
Oh boy, yeah. I did quite a few. I mean, so I grew up, my uncle's on the tire shop back home, and so I started working there when I was a freshman in high school, pumping gas. We had a full service gas station, so I did that for 2 or 3 years. Just after I get off school, I go down there and close shop, and my papaw he would close up with me. He lived across the street, so that was kind of his retirement, was coming over and shutting the shop down. And so it was a lot of fun years. But yeah, I did that, and then my dad had a property management business that I was kind of pursuing taking over before I decided to move here. And so I've cut a lot of yards and ran a lot of miles on a weed eater and fixed a lot of toilets and remodels, all of it. But sometimes I miss those days, man. I wish I had a tool belt on outside somewhere, you know. Yeah, I did a lot. I worked at one of the funniest jobs was I worked at it was like a sign company. It was a buddy of mine, and it was like posted signs, right? And I ran one of those old printing presses. That it was an old school one. He had me on the old one. Yeah. So that was a fun job. But yeah, I just kind of did whatever, man. I had a couple yards, you know, after my normal. When I was working for my dad, I would, you know, go work with him till 5 or 6, and then I had a few yards on the side that I go. I was always doing something, but nothing clean, nothing in a suit. I know that.
Well, brother, I sure have enjoyed it. I wish you all the best out on the road, and maybe next year after you get through this fall season, we can get together and kind of get caught up on where you're at in the next year.
I'd love to, man. I'd love to.
John
Thanks for
Morgan,
having me.
everybody.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.